Now things are getting interesting politically because this was a very clear winner for Republicans prior to, this month. The Democrats clearly want an open border. Otherwise, why would we have one? And the Republicans under Trump did a very good job of not shutting it entirely, but coming as close as we have in years. And now it's already getting spun because they've proposed this deal. Republican hardliners said, you're not getting any Ukraine aid unless we get some concessions on the border. And Biden kind of said, okay, I'll give you the concessions on the border, at least some of them. And now give me my Ukraine aid. And the Republicans now are, supposedly this bill is DOA that 3 senators have been working on because the House is saying hard no, reportedly because Trump is saying hard no. And that, according to Mitch McConnell, Trump doesn't want it because it's going to hurt him in the election. He doesn't want to give the win to Joe Biden. And Trump himself is saying, I'm very against it, not for that reason, but because he thinks it's a bad deal. He says no deal is worse than this deal. Now, the other argument is we don't know whether Trump's going to win the election. Joe Biden could win the election, and half a loaf might be better than no loaf if that's our future. So how do you see it?
Well, first of all, my experience in Congress was when a bill is written in secret, it's because they know if they release it, it's going to fall apart. So when you have 3 or 4 months of secret negotiations, and recently one of the authors has been going around complaining that people keep making stuff up. Well, they make stuff up because it's secret. And I think they're now going to release it. We'll see the real language. But if the language is as bad as people have suggested, I would absolutely, totally oppose this bill. I think our goal should be no illegal immigration, a completely secure border, and whatever changes in the law that requires, we should take. Now, in terms of Biden's abilities, there's an entire list. I'm writing a newsletter at Gingrich 360 about this. There's an entire list of authorities that he has right now. And he inadvertently admitted that the other day when he said, boy, if they pass this, I'll close the border that day. Well, if he has the power to close the border that day, why isn't he closing the border? And the reason is because the left wants an open border. They want the largest possible number of illegal immigrants. I hope that they're going to wait the census for the next Congress and move and save places like California and New York from losing congressional seats. And the whole thing is crazy. I mean, I have to be honest. The left has now gone both on climate, where they want to impose electric cars on everybody, even though only 6% of the country wants one. They've gone crazy on the border. And their position on Iran is frankly equally crazy. And you look at all this and you just wonder, what has happened? I mean, my other example would be what's happened with drugs. When you have more Americans killed by drug overdose annually that were killed in 8 years of the Vietnam War, literally, more people die from drug overdose every year now than were killed in 8 years in Vietnam. We have a real crisis. And you have, frankly, a Democratic Party that seems incapable of breaking out of its ideology and dealing with reality.
Joe Biden now wants us to believe he's a border hawk. He's a border hawk, even though we've had 2.7 illegals encountered at the border, meaning stop and interacting with the Border Patrol. That doesn't count the gotaways. A record number this past year alone. Not to mention, if you go back the year before that, well over 1 million and so on. The year before that too, all under his presidency. Now he wants us to believe he's a border hawk, and he sees the political opportunity here. Now that the Republicans are saying this is not a good deal, we're not going to sign this, and we're not signing on to this. It's not what we want. It allows reportedly at least 5,000 illegals to cross over the border a day. We're already having 8,000 right now at a time everyone agrees this is a crisis. So we're going to lower it by 3. That's our great border deal that we're striking. And that allows him to say, there, I fixed it. So here he is. My team put together a little then and now SOT montage of him, sound on tape. That's what SOT stands for, showing how he sounds today versus how he has sounded from the beginning of his presidency. We could go back further than that, but watch.
We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come. If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now. You come to the United States and you make your case. It'd also give me, as president, The emergency authorities shut down the border until it could get back under control.
And those who come seeking asylum, we should immediately have the capacity to absorb them, keep them safe until they can be heard.
That's not all I can do. Just give me the power.
No one would be put in jail while waiting for their hearing.
Amazing. We can absorb them all. How did that work out?
Well, Gallup warned us that in their worldwide poll, 165 million people said they would like to come to the United States. 165 million. Now, I mean, in Biden's case, first of all, if he's a hawk, he's a chicken hawk. He's not a real hawk. And second, I thought the most telling number recently was a Rasmussen poll that said that by 69 to 27, the American people side with Texas against the federal government. And among strong support, it was 52 to 15. Now, if 69% of the American people think Texas is right to intervene and control the border despite Biden's policies, that tells you that the country is beginning to really become militant about the need to get our border under control. And I don't see how Biden's going to deal with this. He has a huge split with his left over the border. He has a growing split with his left over the Middle East. Meanwhile, the average American is looking at high prices. They're looking at crime in the streets. I mean, Washington, D.C. is a nightmare. Last year we had 950 carjackings. We had 7,000 cars stolen. This is in your national capital. And across the country, Portland has just declared an emergency because it is such a disaster. So I think that there's both a performance problem for Biden in that the country thinks it's not working, and there's a values problem in that the country mostly repudiates the kind of hard left values that he has come to advocate, which, by the way, is a long way from where he was back when he was U.S. Senator.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh my God, he's changed dramatically. Just looking at what this is doing, these 8,000 across the border every day, what it's doing to U.S. cities, and why Biden has finally been willing to come to the table on it. Yes, he cares deeply about Ukraine because he thinks we'll be ceding Ukraine to Russia, and that's a major campaign issue for him too, if we don't fund an additional $60 billion as he's requested. So he's in much more of a compromise mood. But it's really about his reelection hopes that, as you point out, 69% of the country's on Texas's side. The immigration is becoming a top issue for Democrats now, whereas it never was, and now it is for them too, because they're feeling it in unique ways in their own cities. And that brings me to Massachusetts. All right, so in Massachusetts, the state's emergency shelter system hit capacity in November. Right now, we have dozens of migrants sleeping on the floor at Boston's Logan Airport. And then there's a huge recreational complex, a state-run facility that they're right now turning into a shelter for immigrants. Now, this is in a majority Black area, per the Daily Mail. And so kids, at-risk youth, who are usually encouraged to go to the rec center to play basketball, to have fun, to stay off the streets, like get in there with your friends. They do this in a lot of cities, and it's smart and it works, are now being told, get back out in the street. Out you go. We need this for the illegals. And you've got the governor who's part of the problem out there like, I'm really sad. I'm really sad about all of this. But yet, what are you going to do? What are you going to change? Are you still going to be sanctuary place for illegals? Take a listen to her.
I get emotional, guys, okay? Because I'm committed to this. Little kids need to be able to breathe clean air. They need to be able to access swimming pools. They need to have lifeguards there who are going to teach them how to swim. And they need to have activities. I don't know what we're going to do for a couple, 3 months. I'll call universities. I'll call other places.
Great. She's going to make some phone calls so the children can get their rec center back.
Look, the problem with the modern left is it lives in a fantasy world. Somehow, magically, things are going to happen. And when you get down to reality, it doesn't work that way. You had the same thing in New York where they had to close down a school, send 1,200 children home so they could bring in illegal immigrants because there was a big snowstorm and they needed the space. I mean, what's happened under the Biden immigration policy is that Biden's illegal immigrants are treated better than American citizens. They're given, some of them are put up in hotels at very considerable cost. And we're all supposed to feel sympathetic. Well, I think most Americans feel sympathetic first for their own neighborhood, their own children, their own grandchildren, and they look around in horror. You just had a group of illegal immigrants beat up a New York cop, and they were released without bond because New York has a no bail program. So these guys are back out on the street. And you wonder why we have this huge crime rate. We've had a horrendous problem. I mentioned Washington. We had a guy the other day who killed 2 people while carjacking and was finally killed himself by the police. Now, normal, everyday people can look at this and say, it ain't working. But if you're on the hard left, you think, oh, it's really racist to say that illegal immigrants shouldn't be allowed to rape you or kill you. This is a sign that you're really a racist. No, it's a sign you're a normal person who doesn't think you want to be killed or raped. Why they are so out of touch with reality, I don't know, but it's clear that the modern left is now off in la la land and has virtually no contact with the planet Earth anymore.
Let me tell you a story about a guy named Leo Grillo. Leo was on a road trip and came across a Doberman. This dog was severely underweight and clearly in trouble. Leo rescued the dog and named him Delta. Sadly, Delta was just one of many animals that needed help, and this inspired Leo to start Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They have rescued thousands of dogs, cats, and horses too from the wilderness, and they provide their animals with shelter, love, safety, a home. It's dedication and everlasting love to animals. That's Leo's mission and legacy. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions to stay open. And if you would like caring for these animals to be part of your legacy, speak with your estate planner because there are tax savings benefits there too. You can grow your estate while letting your love for animals live well into the future. Check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more and speak with your advisor. We call a dog a man's best friend for a reason. You can help those who need it most. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. deltarescue.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.